giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Underdog Fantasy and the Cochran Firm. I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Or better yet, should I? Bang! Shout out to DDP. Coming up today, we got to break down that initial. I gotta emphasize initial 53-man roster. It is not going to be the team roster for week 1, but we'll break it down. We'll figure out the gymnastics that they're going to be doing. And then in the roundup, we got a little update on Tyler Smith. Not great news, but Jerry is going to be Jerry. Kind of spilled the beans, but something to talk about there. And in the roundup, we'll also start or end the roundup talking about the 28 players and moves that they made to get to the 53-man roster. So make sure y'all stick around for that. And as always, if you want to call in, you can. The call-in line's right there, 351-999-3787. And for whatever reason, if it's not up there, sometimes I take it off. It's at the bottom here, scrolling across, which we may have a little something with that scroll coming soon. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. Shout out to the Bomb Squad in the building.
Bomb Squad!
Good morning to y'all. Adam Robbins in the building. Jay Lombardi, Swain, D.A. Lee, The Lunatic, TC915, Special K was good. CT Madden hit, Toxic Tom. It should be Toxic Franchise Tom Downey Burner account. Colin, set it off. Chris, what up? My bro Lee in the building. Jack Bynum, who had the birthday yesterday. Jeremy Parker. We got Jaws 88, Ted Prickett in the building, Captain America. What's goody? PZ, what up? Who else we got here? Zach Baker, Manny, Colin, CJ Richard. Shout out to CJ, reached out to me yesterday, man. Appreciate your support, good brother. 215 Khalil, who I believe is a part of the fantasy thing. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that too. We got 2 more days. Underdog Fantasy, 2 more days for y'all to sign up. Make sure y'all do. A to Z is ATOZ is a promo code. I want y'all to join. Only got a few more spots left. Anthony Timo, Big Flock. What's up, Big Flock? I'm going to call you L, but I believe it's L Avon. I hope I got that right. L Avon, what up, bro? Kelly, Derek Fisher, James Ruff, Tino Santiago, T Todd, and the many more. Professor O was goody. Laston Whitaker, Gregory, just so many coming through. Nicholas P, I appreciate y'all for being in here bright and early as we get ready to talk Cowboys football. This is the last week, man. This is the last kind of muddy little week we'll have. And the next week is we're going to start preparation for the Bucks. Now, on a normal week during the season, we'll usually start breaking down the game on a Wednesday, Thursday. But I think I'm going to start Monday, man. Somehow, some way, I'm going to stretch it out to Friday. But we're going to start on Monday, I believe, because I'm just ready. I'm ready to go. Seriously, I'm ready to go. And hopefully, we'll get Okoye in here next week. We'll see how that rolls. If not, it is what it is. We're going to break down this thing as best as we can. PZ said, bro, the squad about to get dummy for the regular season. Come on, man. Listen, we've talked about all the craziness that has gone down with the Cowboys, but I still think this is a double-digit win team. Don't let the criticism mistaken what is in front of us here. Now, the ultimate goal is a different story. That requires some other things to happen. But just talking about the actual season, regular season, this team still can do some good things. We just got to figure this out, right? We got to navigate through the muddy waters that will be because of injuries and who's here, who's not here, and things like that. But I got faith in that Q, man. I do. I really do. All right, let's hit this quick roundup, and then we're going to talk about this roster. I want to know how y'all feel about this roster for now.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time.
It's time.
It is time for
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Well, before we get to the morning roundup, I don't even know if I have the actual roundup in there, so give me a second. I do not. This is what happens when you roll your own self, right? This is what happens when you do your own thing, but that's cool. We're going to get it up in here, so give me 1 second, Cowboys Nation. In the meantime, in between time, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you are new here and you're trying to figure out why can I not subscribe or why can I not comment on what's going on, that's because you got to be a subscriber, guys. You have to be a subscriber for at least 20 minutes, and the Bomb Squad will let you know if you can or you can't. And if you come up in here and you're tripping, the Bomb Squad will definitely keep you in check. All right? So here we go. We got the roundup going now. Hey, now I can start. So the injury stuff we was talking about earlier was Jerry, one on 105.3 The Fan, I believe. It was 105.3 The Fan. One on 105.3 The Fan, and said that Tyler Smith, got to make sure I always emphasize Tyron, has a high ankle sprain. Not good, Bob. Not good. I thought it was a sprain. I thought it was an ankle injury. I don't even think it actually came out as a sprain. It just said, hey, he's got an ankle injury that's going to keep him out of practice the last 2 days in the Seahawks game. High ankle sprains, I mean, there's doctors in the building, right? Not really, but if there is, and we got doc talk we'll have probably sometime this week or next. A high ankle sprain take like 4 weeks, don't it? It take a little bit. I hate to hear that, though, because not only does he have the high ankle sprain, he has the high ankle sprain. Now he has to go play on the left tackle side, where I feel like there's going to be a little bit more stress put on it. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an NFL player. But I feel like your athleticism has to be shown off a little bit more at the tackle spot than when you're in that phone booth. So I believe they have practice today. 4 to 6 weeks, says my doctor's in the building. 3 to 6 weeks. Okay, so I'm just an IT guy. So there's a potential that everything will be fine come week 1. Everything might be fine. I just don't like to hear that because we know how these things can linger. He is young, though. He's a young buck, I believe, at 21, 22 years old. So he'll recover much faster than a Tyron Smith would normally recover, right? But you just hate to hear that. It used to be called the dreaded high ankle sprain. I don't know if people say that anymore. Is it still the dreaded high ankle sprain? We'll find out. But they have practice today, I believe, at 1 or 1:30. Low key, I was thinking about running down there, but I ain't. So we'll have to pay attention to the media, Gelkin, the Bobby Belts of the world, who are down there. They'll get a chance to check him out before they get into their practice and close it to the media. And we'll find out if he is indeed participating, which we were told he will be, and how he kind of looks moving around. But it's a full go, I think, with Tyler Smith at left tackle. I just hope that ankle is not going to be a problem come week 1. You know what I'm saying? And then the Cowboys yesterday, as we were talking about throughout the show, I thought that was pretty cool how we were getting kind of breaking news, if you want to call it that, throughout the show for the roster cuts. They made 28 moves, not necessarily 28 cuts, more like 26 cuts or 25 cuts, and then waive injured 2 other guys, and then of course Damone Clark, one on reserve NFI. So let's start with that. With Damone Clark going to reserve NFI, likely won't see him till next year, which that's what I'm hoping. And then they waive injured Aaron Shampkin. I believe. I think the N is actually, or the Shamplin. The K is silent. So Aaron Shamplin. And they waive injured Isaac Taylor Stewart. I don't know the severity of Aaron Shamplin's injury. I know it was a high ankle sprain as well, but what I'm getting at is he a guy that you can bring back on this practice squad? I think we'll see. And then they made 25 different cuts to get down. And my question to you guys, I had to make sure I thought about this. What is the most notable cut to you? I got a handful, but what is the most notable cut that happened for you, Cowboys Nation? And that's this morning's roundup. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line if you want to talk about it. I got three names that, well, actually, we're technically four, where I consider the most notable cuts with an S. But I want to know your most notable, just one. Your most notable cut. And for me, y'all know how I felt about Carlos. I think Los was a guy that was going to be I use quotes because he ain't been playing bad, but he was the easy cut because you wanted to go with the younger guys and like Tristan Hill and Ridgeway. They weren't going to cut those dudes for Carlos. They were going to try. And remember, I reached out to my peoples and tried to get an answer on it. And I got a yes on the question of, is Carlos Watkins a high-ranking candidate to be one of those vested veteran cuts to return? And I got a yes from both. Who else was the other one? Oh, Malik Davis was the other answer that I have for y'all. The running back out of Florida. Notable. Not a surprise. Notable cut. And both of the quarterbacks. I heard something yesterday that I ran across that made me go, huh, this is interesting about the quarterbacks. And we're gonna break down the entire roster. In fact, hold on, before I get there, let's talk about this roster. And I'm gonna read it, or talk about these quarterbacks, and I'm gonna read the chat. I heard yesterday, I think it was from Nick, who said, the Cowboys can technically bring both of these quarterbacks back and not put them on the active roster. They can put them, they can put them on the practice squad. And while being on the practice squad, you can call up a practice squad player on 3 separate occasions throughout the season. 3 different times. That's it. That third time they got to stay on or something like that. So technically they can go 6 games this year with one quarterback on their active 53-man roster. Will they do that? I don't think they will, but it's in their toolbox. They can use that if they want to keep an extra safety, to keep an extra defensive lineman, defensive end, linebacker, whatever they want to do with that extra spot, running back, whatever they want to do. They could technically keep that player on practice squad. And I thought that was interesting because Dallas loves to do these roster gymnastic moves. But I think they'll go back to tradition. I think they'll have an actual backup quarterback on the roster. But if they don't, it'll be kind of unprecedented. I don't know any other team that's carried one quarterback technically on a roster. But with the new CBA, you can call them up on game day. So I think that's a pretty cool little nugget that the Dallas Cowboys can use in these roster cuts. All right, let me go scroll up and see your notable cuts. I saw Collins was there. Story Jackson. Brandon Smith was surprising. See, I didn't think it was surprising. Just kind of reading just seeing how the team operates. Brandon Smith kind of earned at least the thought to make it difficult because he was making play every game. He made a big play every single game. And honestly, that's all you can do in a preseason where the quarterbacks just weren't there. No receiver got more than 3 receptions the entire preseason. I don't know how many times that has happened, but nobody did. Nothing on Joseph yet. Hopefully we'll hear something today, though. Special K, the notable players that didn't get cut. Josh Ball. Here's the thing. Your line is deep when you cut Watkins, and then right underneath that, Watkins didn't get a chance to fight for his job. I disagree. I think Watkins did everything in his power. I think he had a good camp and he had a good preseason. I just think what they did, Tony, was they drafted a 5th round pick defensive tackle, and it was, hey, either this 5th round pick, one tech on a 4-year cheap deal, or this vested veteran guy on 1-year deal. Dallas draft picks are gold to them. I saw a stat yesterday. This is kind of crazy. I didn't know it was this high. Dallas has 46 of their 53 players have all either been drafted or signed undrafted as a free agent on the team. 46 of their guys are homegrown. I don't know how you want to take it how you want. I just think that that's a large number that I didn't even think about. So they really hold a lot of value in their guys. So I think Watkins was always going to be the first odd man out in that instance. Now, maybe they put him back on the team through IR stuff, and we'll get to that here in a second. So the Watkins one really wasn't about surprising. He just happened to be, I think, of all these dudes, the biggest name because he was a starter last year. Cheap depth versus money. Sean McEwen, Malik Davis. So Sean McEwen's hurt, though, so I can see them saying, hey, man, we're going to cut him. I don't think anybody's going to claim him, and then we'll bring him back to the practice squad. All good, you late, Yomi. Let's see. Anybody else surprising cuts? Well, I shouldn't say surprising. Notable is the word. Notable. Rush, Maher will be, yeah, that's what we'll get to in a second. These quarterbacks, obviously, they cut the kicker, they cut the long snapper, and they cut both of the quarterbacks. Those guys will return in some form, in some basis. The long snapper, probably the kicker too. They could do some weird stuff with that situation though. Will all be on the active roster once you get these IR situations. CJ Goodwin, another one. He'll be back once these IRs happen. Ridgeway, so the lunatic thinks Ridgeway is an IR candidate. That was my next question before we actually get to the actual breakdowns. Who of the 25 cuts should be IR candidates? We have the obvious. We've got, let me see if I can bring this up so y'all can see the names of the cuts, actually. These are the names of the cuts, if I can bring it up. Not really. All right, don't worry about it. We got the obvious IR candidates, which are not even candidates, going to happen. James Washington and Tyron Smith. Those two are the easy ones. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, he out of here. The other ones, we could argue, and actually, let's go ahead and look at some of the roster. Let's talk about the offense first. If we go to that offensive line, because that's where I kind of want to focus out with the IR situation. Tyron Smith will be on IR. That's just a given fact. So there's one. Part of me still believes there could be some funny business with Matt Waletzko. I wish he'd have got that damn surgery. I think we got to put a question mark next to Matt Waletzko. I don't know if he's really going to be an IR candidate, but he was prior to him practicing and then playing in Seattle. I thought he was going to be an IR guy. James Washington, when we go to the receivers, is going to be an IR guy. And once you flip it over to the defense, you'll the Ridgeways of the world, Kelvin Joseph potentially could be an IR candidate. I know you might say it's just a concussion, but they did it with Rico Gathers. So those are potential IR guys who can open up roster spots. You're going to need Maher, Quaid. Probably going to need at least 3 or 4 openings. I got 4. But let's go ahead and break down this offensive side of the ball. And before we do, if you want to call in, 351-999-3787 is the call-in line. All right, we just discussed the quarterbacks. Clearly, they're not going to go into the season with one quarterback on the roster for 17 games. But they may do some, like I said, funny business where they bring both Cooper Rush and Will Grier back to the practice squad and just kind of, if they wanted to, can alternate the weeks if they wanted to. I don't think they will. I think they'll go with conventional wisdom and roll with a quarterback on the roster, which will probably be Cooper Rush, because that's what we talked about the other day. So I think Cooper Rush will be back, and I think he'll be back on the active roster. So we get to the running backs. Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle. Nothing really surprising here to me. Somebody had said something yesterday in the chat. I don't think either of the running backs, Rico or Malik, did anything to outplay each other. And I thought that was a fair point. I think both of these dudes did good things in preseason and in camp. I don't think you can lose in this situation. Now I know Malik had the fanfare and we loved how he ran. Malik Davis, we love how he ran, and there's an upside to him that we're excited to see, as opposed to Rico, who's going into year 3, had an injured second year, more of a special teams third back type of guy, where I think some people believe Malik can be a dude you can hand the rock to, and I believe that too. So we'll see if he flies through the waiver wires. I believe that is today. We'll find out later today who made it through, and then the practice squads will be updated, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. So Malik Davis is a guy to keep your eye on, but I totally understand keeping Rico. This is not a surprise to me. I think Rico played well. Again, he between the two, he had more missed tackles and more yards after contact than Malik Davis in preseason. So I think he also earned it. Wasn't just give it to him. We'll hit the wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Jalen Tolbert, James Washington, Noah Brown, Simi Fehoko, Dennis Houston, Kevontae Turpin. So Houston survives, which, if Dak like you, I think that's going to be a situation where that happens. And like we talked about yesterday, it came out early that James Washington would make this team and then head to IR. So 8 wide receivers. Honestly, if you would have said coming into the season, the Cowboys are going to put 8 wide receivers on the roster, I'd have been like, really? But then when you think about it, Michael Gallup, they don't want to put on IR because they believe he's going to come back, and he passed his physical yesterday, which was kind of a given. When last week, who was it? Who came out and said that? Jerry Jones came out and said, no, we don't want to put Michael Gallup on IR. He might be ready for week 1. So I think I said yesterday, I'll see him back, I think, week 3. I think Michael Gallup could return about week 3. I think week 4 will be your latest, unless something happens. So of the wide receivers, you got 8. Gallup won't be available week 1, and James will hit IR. So it's really 6. Now, once we get down to the nitty gritty for 46, do you carry all 6? I feel like they will. I feel like when I say it's actually technically Gallup is going to count against one of your guys out. So yeah, I feel like they'll carry Lamb, Tolbert, Brown, Simi, Dennis, and Turpin. I mean, it's kind of a committee approach opposite Lamb until Gallup gets back. And even when Gallup gets back, it's kind of going to be a bit of a committee approach until he gets completely acclimated. So you might as well throw as many darts as you possibly can at that. And then the tight ends, Dalton Schultz, Jake Ferguson, Peyton Hendershot. I think that was an easy one too, with Sean McEwen being hurt. They actually just outright cut him. I think McEwen's going to go through waivers, come back to the Cowboys, and we'll see how severe that ankle or that knee injury is. If it's more severe than we think, maybe he doesn't come back at all. But they had no choice really but to go with this 3. And I think all 3, Dalton Schultz, of course, but I think Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot have had good camps and good preseasons. Easy right there. And then you have the offensive line. Maybe you could argue one of your more questionable depth situations at the offensive line in quite some time here. A lot of question marks. There were some jokes yesterday. Just imagine you getting cut, right? You're Carlos Watkins or somebody. You get cut and you see Josh Ball still on the team. I mean, it has to suck, but I think Carlos Watkins will be back. But nonetheless, Zach, Tyron, Tyler, Terrence, Tyler. That's ridiculous. Connor McGovern, Josh Ball, Matt Walesko, Matt Forniak. Part of me, and I'll come back to y'all and I'll come back to that. Part of me believes they're still going to go out there and get a swing. Stephen Jones came out and talked about, we'll wait till the cuts come down. We talked about yesterday, Kellen Diesch, the Arizona State tackle that got released. I would definitely swap him with Ball without question. But even just bringing him in general, do we rely on Waletzko's shoulder that at any given moment can just go and it's not going to get better and it needs surgery? Do we rely on Josh Ball being your actual, because he's for real right now, he is your swing tackle. I think it was lip service last week ironically, I mean, how cruel are the football gods? Pre-practice, they asked Coach Mike McCarthy, hey, who has the lead in swing tackle, or who's your swing tackle or you're confident? He's bigging up Josh Ball because that's what he has to do. And in that same practice, Tyron Smith gets hurt. In that same practice, Josh Ball goes in and he struggles. And then in the coming week, all we hear about is, oh, Tyler Smith is our guy. Well, if Josh Ball was truly a swing tackle, it would have been Josh Ball. But I digress. So I don't think you can really sugarcoat it now. I think well, let's go. Is that your guy? Maybe. I don't know if they're going to roll with it that fast, but I feel like Ball is your guy right now. So we'll see how that rolls out. All right. Any surprises from the offensive side of the ball for y'all? Anything that kind of catches y'all eyes in regards to who's made the initial 53? If I had to be honest, I don't think there's going to be much. I guess you can consider 3 moves. There's not going to be a whole lot of flipping and turning here. You're going to get Tyron Smith on IR and James Washington, and then you'll add a quarterback. So I see 3 moves being made here. Tyron, James, and then you'll add a quarterback to the roster. Any surprises, any noteworthy things happening offensively to y'all? Were you surprised they brought James Washington back, or did we already know that? Let's get up in here. As long as we can run the ball effectively, open up the play action. Yeah, got to lean on the run game this year. Unseen, unheard. So I know some people don't understand the roster gymnastics of what happens. So that's why we do these type of shows. He says, why are you putting Tyron, I'm believing he's Tyron Smith, on the roster? Wow, this is ridiculous. He won't be back until playoffs. Well, here's why, unseen, unheard. If you can't cut Tyron. You just can't cut him. So you put him on a roster, and then they're going to put him on IR, which opens up a roster spot. So he won't technically be on this roster until, like you said, around playoff time if he comes back. So that's just how they finagle the roster. Tony says, cut Gifford and Noah, get another lineman, or bring back Story and keep it pushing. Let me ask y'all this about, we'll get to the defensive side in a second. Let me ask y'all this. I saw Malik Turner. This kind of came up to me in the middle of Vacha's show. Malik Turner was cut by the 49ers. I ask y'all, would you go get Malik Turner? And who would you cut to bring in Malik Turner if you're one of those that says yes? I would. And I'd cut Noah. Like, I'm not saying it because like, oh, Noah sucks or anything like that. It's just, all right, I've seen more in Malik Turner last year. In the little bit that he did, blocking the punt. He was a good blocker too. Special teams ace. Everybody loves to talk about Noah Brown being on special. That's what Malik Turner did in this league. And then when he got the opportunities to show he could do wide receiver things, he did nothing but show up. The catch in Washington, the game against the Denver Broncos. Like, Malik Turner just makes plays. He just shows up in his extremely small, limited opportunities. So they're not going to cut these guys like Dennis and Turpin and guys. These are young dudes with upside. So who do I look around for? I'm not cutting Semi. Let's go look at it. I'm not cutting Semi. James is about to go to IR. We know. But I know they won't do that. TC says cut Washington for Turner. If Washington was actually on this going to be on the roster, I would, but they're going to put him on IR. So let's kind of pretend he ain't even there right now. Yeah, but Noah got them picks of Jerry. T. Todd says I was hoping they wouldn't let Turner go. Same. So A. Hatch is saying bye to Houston and Noah. I mean, if they did, I would not sit here and be whining about getting rid of Houston. But I get the allure of keeping him around because he's where you want to be, according to Jerry. and he's young. He's got an untapped potential that you don't know, so that you haven't seen. So that's exciting, right? So you're not going to really cut Dennis Houston for Malik Turner if you're the Cowboys. What excites you about Noah Brown? Got chemistry with Dak, says Captain America Malik Turner. I was waiting for somebody. I knew there was going to be somebody here that says no to Turner. Adrian, no to Turner. That doesn't surprise me. Drop Washington, bring back Turner. I would too. But Washington's going to be put on the IR. All right, I got a couple super chats I did not get to, and I missed some yesterday too. My apologies, y'all. And then we'll get to that defensive side of the ball. Boom, here we go.
Super chat.
We got I Bring It. Salute for the $5 donation. He says the Eagles upgraded their cornerback depth with Gardner Johnson. Seems like they're all in. Why are the Cowboys seemingly stuck in the mud with free agency? I bring it. Well, it's the Cowboys way, man. We are a draft developed team. We went over this ad nauseum throughout the offseason. That just the Cowboys do not operate in that aggressive type of manner. They're more sit back and whatever falls through the filters, falls through the cracks. They'll pay and hope that they hit big time. That's the strategy. It's a little bit risky. It requires a whole lot of luck, which winning the Super Bowl does anyway. But that's just their philosophy, man. It is what it is. Now, will Gardner Johnson move the needle a whole lot? Probably not. But I've seen people criticize people actually applauding the Eagles. Here's where I applaud them is the fact that they don't sit, they are aggressive, and they're constantly trying to make these type of moves to put their team in the best situation. That's how you got to look at it. Gardner Johnson is not Jalen Ramsey. This isn't Minka. This isn't TJ Watt. These aren't these type of guys. It's the attempt. So kudos to them for that, and that's where I'm going to stop with it. Now let me take a sip because I don't like talking about the Eagles.
Super chat.
Pick up after 5 rings. Donates $10. Appreciate you. Simple equation. Special defense and an MVP quarterback. This isn't a collective team. It's a one special unit with the best Dak we've ever seen. Only way this team does anything. Okay, so you're saying, really damn good D, and then Dak has to play at an MVP level. I don't even know that you're necessarily lying. I mean, Dak. But I think Dak, I said this before when we had a show dedicated to Dak Prescott. I think that Dak is going to be the best version of Dak Prescott that you would have seen. I do. Now, some people will say, well, doesn't that mean they'll win the Super Bowl or they'll do this or do that? That doesn't necessarily mean that. Because the rest of the team still has to, do well. So I think from an individual standpoint, pick up after 5 rings. I don't know if Dak's going to be some MVP. I don't really see that. But I think Dak will be kind of at his height of his career going into year 7, which is that around that 30-year-old range where we talk about good quarterbacks get better with age. They see the field better, et cetera, et cetera. Dak Prescott will continue to do that. The numbers may not. I don't know if the numbers are going to show it. We'll see. But I think you'll see Dak playing at a high level this year. Whether Dak haters want to admit that or not, he has gotten better every year in his career. Go get Malik in offensive tackle trade Schultz. All right. Let's flip it over to the defense side. Let's flip it over to the defensive side and see what the Cowboys elected to do initially. Start with the defense ends. DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, Basham, and Golston all make the initial roster. Shout out to Terrell Basham real quick. Terrell Basham, I think, came in to this offseason with a little bit of fire lit up under his ass. We did a show with who has the heat turned up on him, and I thought I concluded Terrell Basham. I can't remember, though. Y'all can remind me. But I felt like Basham was one of those guys because they brought in Dante Fowler and they drafted Sam Williams, and we know that Micah can slide down and do some defense end things. And I thought Basham had a solid year. technically a career year, for being honest. But nothing to write home about, but a solid year. All Basham did was come out, show out in camp, and he showed out in the joint practices, and he showed out in preseason. If they would have cut Terrell Basham for Josiah Bronson, to me, it would have indicated, okay, even more y'all really care about these young bucks than actually trying to put the best roster on the field now. You couldn't look at us in the face right now and say, hey, man, Terrell Basham ain't been better than XYZ. He has. Terrell Basham deserved to be on this roster, and I'm glad that he is. I'm glad that he is. Danny, you didn't tell nobody that Ridgeway was going to make the team. Go watch the dang on show a couple days ago. We talked about Ridgeway making the team. He's a pick. Don't be I told you so, God, Danny. It's corny. Sam Williams. Gotta give a shout out to Sam Williams, man. He balled out this offseason as well. And Dante Fowler. Listen, I know I said this in the offseason, earlier in the offseason. I think I might still hold to it, but boy, I'm looking at a couple of these other players, how they balling. I think Dante Fowler, I still think Dante Fowler can be the second leading sack guy on this team. Micah is Micah. You got D-Law, who I think is still going to give you about 8-9 sacks. But it's something about Dante's probably going to play, 28, 30 snaps. And I feel like he can get there at least once every other game. Especially when teams, think about this for a second. You're going to have Dante Fowler on one side. Micah Parsons, Demarcus Lawrence on another side. Who you sliding protection to? DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. So you're going to get a lot of one-on-ones with Dante Fowler. And I just think he's going to capitalize off of him, man. I do. I just do. I think he's going to capitalize off of a lot of his one-on-one opportunities. Defensive tackles. Osa Digizua, Neville Gallimore, Tristan Hill, Quentin Bohanna, and John Ridgeway. Drafted. Obviously, the first four, I think, are super deserving of being on this roster. And then John, as we explained throughout the week, he's a draft pick. I just had a hard time believing they were going to cut him. When we did our locks or not, he was a lock to me just purely because he was drafted. Because what you can't do is say, oh, man, Carlos Watkins has been worse than John Ridgeway. That's not the case. But they're going to take their investment and they're going to raise it higher than the guy that has 1 year left on their roster who's about 30 years old or whatever it is. It just is what it is. Now, the thing you got to keep an eye on now is, will he or won't he be an IR guy? I have a hard time believing you carry John Ridgeway on the 46. 53, you can make an argument for it. The 46, I don't know about that. So amongst the defensive ends and defensive tackles, any surprises or anything that stands out for you? Nothing really surprises me here. Shout out to Big Bo too, and Tristan for that matter. I think both of these guys have raised their level of play, especially Bo. I don't know if that Bo got enough love this offseason. We all talked about Tristan. We all talked about Neville. But Quentin Bohanna has been right there with them, and in some cases, maybe even better. But Bohanna has been right up there with some of the best, improvement on the entire team, in my opinion. Man, he said red shirt is big ass. I think if I had to guess, I think we could be seeing that coming down the pike. I haven't even asked any questions. I haven't reached out to anyone. I'm just taking a guess here because I have a hard time believing you're carrying him on the 53-man roster. Now, with that said, y'all remember what I said the other day when I was at practice? Who was out there as the flanker? Did anybody give me a positional name for that position at the end of the field goal unit? It was Ridgeway. And the second team guy was actually Bohanna. Danny said Bohanna lost too much weight. Lost too much weight? I don't know what you mean he lost too much weight his rookie year. That is a good roster. Chuck said he surprised Ridgeway over Watkins, but understand why. 95 was a draft pick. Exactly. We tried to prepare y'all for that, right? He's a Razorback. That's another thing somebody said yesterday. He's a Razorback. Our front office is full-time stupid and part-time dumb, says Swain. All right, let's get to the other part of this 53. Initial 53. Not going to be the final, although the defense seems to be kind of finalized. Linebackers, Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, Anthony Barr, Jabril Cox, Luke Gifford, Devin Harper. I went into week 2 and 3, mostly week 2, but definitely week 2 and 3 of the preseason thinking, well, they're going to carry 5. They don't carry 5 backers. It just seemed that way. Luke Gifford, I got hurt at camp. Missed the last portion of the physical part of camp. Didn't play in week 1. It just felt like he's on his way out. Maybe IR or whatever. Then he came back. Then he played fairly decent in preseason. Then I went to camp in Dallas. And I saw practice on Tuesday. I saw practice on Wednesday. I lied to you not. In my notes, I said Luke Gifford is getting a lot of second team reps. Get ready for him to be on the team. I don't think you just up and not make this team if you're the first guy off the bench at practice. Don't think so. So this isn't a shocker to me. Now, if you said, well, Scott, who would you rather have had, Luke Gifford or Story or one of these other young guys, Malik Jefferson, I probably would have told you Malik Jefferson or Story, because I just think there's a higher upside to those dudes. And when we're talking about your 5th or 6th backer, you're talking special teams and you're talking, if injuries happen. Now, Luke also, somebody reminded me yesterday, he blocked that punt against the Patriots, so he obviously is a special teams guy. So it's not really a shocker because of what I've just been seeing at camp and then seeing in the preseason. Now, Luke Gifford's on this roster. But he is. And then Devin Harper's a draft pick. Again, they're not cutting their draft picks. It's just not happening. So with the addition of Anthony Barr, I feel much better about the unit. I always wanted to add at least one goddamn veteran backer. They did it late, but they did it. Better late than never. So I feel better about it than maybe I would have felt prior. And then obviously you naturally feel better about it when you see Jabril moving around and looking good. So there's the linebackers position. Don't think anything's really surprising there. I see a lot of people are a bit taken back at the Luke Gifford thing. I get it because Story Jackson looked good in preseason. Malik Jefferson, I think, earned it. And Malik is, according to Gelkin, looks like a guy that's going to come back to the practice squad. The phones are always open. Dak not done yet. And in fact, we got our guy Danny Savage on the horn. But before we get to Danny Savage on the Pulse of the Nation hotline presented by the Cochran Firm. Since 2005, the Cochran Firm of Texas has served the DFW area community. Their attorneys, headlined by the team of Brian Pope and Larry Taylor, two wonderful gentlemen that I think will help you out and fight for you regardless of what you have going on from a legal standpoint. They take the most challenging civil cases in the DFW area and Houston for that matter, involving personal injury, wrongful death, fraud, truck, automobile, class action, you name it, they got it. And all their cases are handled on a contingent fee basis. So if there's no financial recovery, they charge no fee. Listen, I know who I'm going to go to when I need anything done legally, and it's the Cochran Firm. If you want to know more, if you want to get a feel for Larry and for Brian, hit them up at 1-800-THE-FIRM or schedule your free consultation today at the CochranTexas.com. Phone lines open. What you got for us here, Danny?
Hey, yo.
Ooh, I almost wore that shirt today.
The only thing I was trying to say about Bohanna was his rookie year, I felt he lost too much weight. I felt he came in too light. That's all I was trying to get at with Bohanna, his rookie year.
So
but also, too,
340 is too light.
For him, yeah, he can be bigger than that.
Oh, you crazy.
I saw Vita Vey practicing yesterday. He looks like Umaga, beast, straight up beast mode.
Ooh,
He looks like
my God.
he's just a different breed. He looks like Umaga. They show him shotgunning a Gatorade, a can of Gatorade.
Brother.
Yo, that guy's different.
Big Bo ain't Vita Vea. Those Islanders, they different, man. They breed different.
Oh, they are different, definitely. All I'm trying to say is I just thought Bohannon came in a little bit light his rookie year. That's all I was trying to say. Ridgeway,
yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, Bo he definitely seems felt. Is that the term? He doesn't look like he's a 330+ pound guy when you're watching him. When he doesn't have pads on, you're like, man, he kind of looks slim, but he carries that 330+ really well.
You know, and like, listen, I want him to plug the middle of him. I don't care he puts on 20 pounds. I'm not asking him to play 60 plays a game. I'm asking him to play 20, 25, 30.
Hold on.
He could put on 20 more.
Somebody in the chat said, you want Big Bohannon to look like Big Daddy V, a.k.a. Mabel.
Big Viscera.
And Viscera, all the
Yo,
names,
he got in trouble, actually, for hurting
I know.
Rikishi.
And for Diesel.
Well, listen. Here's the thing with Ridgeway. Throw the guy to IR. Well, he could play 10 plays on a goal line. But I'm going to make a prediction. Not a prediction. Just don't be surprised.
Okay.
Because they've done it before. Don't be surprised you see Ridgeway getting some snaps on offensive line. Don't be surprised. Because they might look at it as, instead of him just standing on the sideline, our O-line is so weak. I'm going to make two predictions. If we re-sign Alarcon, don't be surprised he plays in a game this year. And don't be surprised if they try to switch Ridgeway to O-line. Because he was a very good offensive lineman. That's about it.
I got you.
No, go ahead.
No, the Ridgeway one, I would be surprised. That would be a surprise for me. The Alarcon thing wouldn't surprise me because of the depth right now is a questionable thing. But it's not like it's unheard of for guys to switch. It happened before, in NFL, guys switch positions. I say it all the time. Jason Peters was a tight end, and now he's going to be a Hall of Fame tackle. If I'm not mistaken, Nate used to play defense. You were a Great Wall of Dallas. Who was the cat that switched from defense, I think, early in his career?
Mark Tuinei.
There we go. Tuinei. I almost said Gogan. So, it happens.
So much better than Tyron. Yeah. So much better.
Oh, so much.
When Randy White says, if you're in the dark alley and you had to get out, you want Mark Tuinei next to you, that's all. And listen, like
yeah, but if I'm on the 35-yard line on 3rd and 8 and I got, TJ Watt lined up across me, I'd like a Tyron Smith in his prime. I would.
And listen, I get you, but like Sky, I'm much older than you, and like Vach says, don't go by highlight tapes. I'm going by watching every single game those guys played. But whatever. Listen, when will the practice squad? When will that be finalized?
I would imagine.
When will we know?
We will hear something today because waiver wires, I believe, is 24 hours. So we'll probably hear something today, and we'll probably get an official word tomorrow morning. So I should have something for y'all tomorrow morning on that we can talk about.
All right, sounds good. Great call as always. You're going to be on later with Vach later on 306.
And unless something happens, I'll be back.
Listen, any problems, call me. Nothing's going to happen. All right?
I got you, man. Take care of that thing for me.
You got it, man. Later.
Professor O'Danny, you're not much older than Sky. We'll get to a couple more before we get to the corners and the safeties, which not many surprises there. I think I want to say 737 came in, and then we get to 843. 737, what it is, what it do?
What up? It's your boy Dak Not Done Yet.
Dak Not Done Yet, man. Look, you've been trying to get on these phones for weeks, man. So I hope you got a good call coming through, Dak. Dak Not Done Yet, not the actual Dak.
I really just got one. I really just got one thing to say as far as people who got dropped. I'm so surprised in Davis. The running back Davis, I really thought he was a really hard hitter. I've seen a lot of Zeke in him. So I was kind of surprised they went with the more speedy back rather than the hard hitting down run back.
Got more Zeke in him. That's interesting. I've heard Zeke now, and I've heard DeMarco Murray for Malik Davis. There is something about, I can't put my hand on it. There's something about Malik Davis that feels bell cowish. I'm not saying that I don't like to do the bell cow back thing no more, but he feels like a guy I can give the ball to 15 times and feel good about it. So there is something to him.
Yeah, that's really all I had to say. I was just really surprised that they let him go, or at least for now.
For now,
he may come back, but yeah, at least for now, I was really surprised. So I watch the show. I know I give you a hard time, but I watch the show every single day. You and watch.
Well, I appreciate that.
So please keep up the good work, man.
I try.
Y'all the only one who's actually telling the real news.
We try, man. We try. I'm gonna keep trying to give y'all the real, and I say I keep it a bean because that's what we do here, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. All right, yes, sir.
All right, let's get to 843, and then we'll get back to the 53. What's up, 843?
Yo, what's up, Will? Still, how you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. How you this morning?
Pretty good, bro. My name's Tim. My first time calling in. I just got something really, really, really quick to say.
Sure.
One, you and Vach are amazing. I think we all know that. Two.
Thank you, sir.
I looked at the roster yesterday, and a couple things on the offense made me just shift in my seat.
Uh-oh.
Rico Dowdle over Malik Davis instantly made me want to go use the restroom. Instantly. I'm sorry. Instantly.
Is that bad?
And then when y'all brought up Noah Brown, like I like Noah. He's one of our guys. But Noah ain't made me happy, scream, jump up out the seat once. And Malik Davis has done that. I mean, Malik Turner has done that. So seeing him cutting out there is like, yeah, that's one of Dak's guys. Like that's one of Dak's guys. Like you put him on the field and he instantly is going to have chemistry with Dak instantly.
Let me rewind. Let me rewind before we get to the receivers. Why did the Davis Rico thing piss you off essentially?
Because I was watching Davis, man, and I just saw a lot of spunk. Like it's not that Rico does not have that spunk. It's just like Davis got that kind of. To me, when I look at him, he got that kind of Marion Barber bounce where he'll hit a pile
Zeke,
and then just
Murray Barber.
Yes.
What do all those things got in common? They're powerful backs.
Yes, that's true. That's true. But I see you got the lightning with TP, man. Like Zeke, look, if Zeke get through half the year and say, "Oh, my PCL," so in Malik Davis and TP, and you got two young backs, very young backs. Not saying Rico ain't young, not saying it. I'm just saying, when I see Malik Davis, it's like a light-skinned Marion Barber. He'll hit the pile, and the next thing you know, he's 5 yards off to the east or the west and going north. You get what I'm saying?
I don't disagree, man. There's just, like I said with the previous caller, there's just something about him that you gravitate towards, whether it be his power, he runs bigger than he's listed. But at the same time, I don't think Rico has done anything to like lose the job either. So I always believe this is going to be tough, man. In fact, first, remember last week I was like, "Hey, man, let's carry 4 backs." That's kind of where I was at with it. I thought both of those dudes showed promise to stay on this team, but I'm hoping he clears waivers and we can bring him back on the practice squad.
Yes, I got one last thing. I saw this defense, and after weeks of watching you and Vice talk about what we gonna do, we trying to keep 12. What we gonna do? I looked at the defense and I said, "Yo, did we get this right?" I was waiting on this specific show. I was waiting on this specific show just to hear your point on it. Like, did we really? I know we still got to get to the safeties and the DBs, but I mean, personally, I didn't see any issues with the safety of the DBs. The only issue I saw was just standing out in the back of the room, and we know what we're talking about. But even with that, I'm okay with that. He's a part of the team. He's like Noah Brown to me, just on defense.
Who's that?
Luke Gifford.
Oh.
Yeah. Like he's like that's. But other than that,
that's not
like,
bad. That's not a bad comparison. The Noah Brown of the defense. I could dig it.
He's a Noah Brown of the defense. He don't necessarily give you flashes, but he's been our guy. He's been a very valuable guy. When you go to him, he's there, period. He's ready to go, special teams, whatever. But for both of those people, for both of those guys. So that's why I say that. But that was really my only issue. I looked at the defense, was like, yo, we got this right.
Yeah, the defense. There's really not much I don't think there was anything in general that we could really be like all up in arms about. But the defense for sure, it was going to be. I thought the defense was cut and dry, man. There's maybe one move you had to make a difficult decision on, and that was the defensive line because you just had so many bodies.
Yep.
Hey man, good call, brother. Man, appreciate you.
That's it. Yes, sir.
It's a good call right there. Let's go back to that defense. Pull it up. There we go. And finish off with the corners and the safeties, then we're going to get back to the lines. Corners, Diggs, Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, Deron Bland, Kelvin Joseph, Nashawn Wright. Don't think anything crazy there. Once again, drafted. We a homegrown squad, man. If we had to guess, and I don't think this is a guess, just that this is what the team is doing. I saw somebody yesterday in Vach's chat has said, well, Bland ain't done nothing yet in the game and yada, yada, yada. Why are we putting him above Kelvin Joseph? Listen, y'all. Okay, we have our opinions. And my opinions is he is above Kelvin Joseph right now. But it ain't my opinion. The staff for 2 weeks in a row have put Deron Bland in position to be above Kelvin Joseph. He is your fourth corner at the moment. Now, the only asterisk on the defensive side of the ball, I think right now, is Kelvin Joseph. If you needed to free up more spaces on the team via IR, your two guys are John Ridgeway and Kelvin Joseph. Now, with Ridgeway, you'll have to do one of those. Didn't I catch you limping coming out that Seattle game? Nah, coach, I didn't. And then coach just clip him. Yeah, you limping now, IR. And with Kelvin, you ain't got to do that. With Kelvin, is, hey, man, you hit your head on the first play. Have a seat, young fella. And let me be more serious, though. And y'all let me know if I'm looking into this too deeply with Kelvin Joseph. I actually think it'd be a good idea to IR him and kind of let him collect himself, let him, from a mental standpoint, physical standpoint, whatever, get back center. We understand what type of off season it's been for Kelvin Joseph. Not even just for what happened on the out. That alone can mess with somebody's head. That alone, right? But then on the field, it has not been easy for Kelvin. I'm not saying you want things to be easy, but dude is fighting for his football life on the field as well. Deron Bland has not made it easy at camp or in preseason. Nashawn wasn't making it easy at camp until preseason. So it's just been, I can't take a breath, man. This is everything's been kind of high intensity. Rico Gathers caught a concussion in preseason. They IR'd him, sat him for the whole season because they still felt, man, there's something there. Even though he's a 6th-round pick, we want to keep him on the team until next year. Am I advocating sit Kelvin Joseph down for an entire year? Not necessarily. But what I'm saying is, if that were to happen, I get it. And I'm not against it. It protects your 2nd-round investment. And then you come back next year where it's really going to be open because Anthony Brown is out. I don't know if they're going to bring back Anthony Brown unless he has a Pro Bowl type year or he wants to come back for the super cheap. But this is why you drafted Kelvin Joseph, right? And why you hope Deron Bland and Nashawn Wright elevate. So you don't got to spend the money on AB. So next year, that cornerback 2 spot will truly be open unless Deron Bland just goes berserk. But it would truly be open. So am I looking at this too deeply with Kelvin Joseph to say, hey, man, it's okay to sit down? It's been an off season for you. You've had to deal with more personal shit than probably most of the players on the team have had to deal with. It's your doing. There's no doubt about it. It is your doing. But if the Cowboys wanted to protect their investment, this is a way to do it without messing up his psyche more. And it's football. There's no crying in football, right? But they are human at the same time. And it's a position where your confidence is extremely key. So I think Kelvin Joseph can be one of those underlining IR candidates as we move forward. King Element's talking about I'd keep AB. I don't think he'll be super expensive next year. That all depends. I think it's way too early, though, King. Like, if AB has another solid year, another good to solid year, but Deron Bland shows crazy development, there's no way I'm spending the money on it. I go spend that money somewhere else because you got Deron Bland, and you would hope at this point in time Kelvin Joseph gives you enough confidence to move forward as well. So it really all depends. Now, if AB has a bad year, of course, you're not going to bring him back no matter how much it is. But if he has a better year, that's where then, King, I might have to sit down and figure this out. Because if AB has a better year, you're talking about, I don't know if it's a Pro Bowl player, but Pro Bowl light, right? Say he has 5 picks, continues to be a top 10 corner and man. He was a top 10 corner and man, according to all the statistics. Continues to be that leader. Yeah, it's something to consider, obviously, if he's going to be even better. But if he kind of maintains what he did last year, or he regresses, if he regresses, I'm good. So I think it's a wait and see approach. Shout out to David J.
Super chat.
Appreciate you for the super chat. He said, at this point, I don't know what to think about this situation. I'm in a wait and see mode. If the Cowboys stink it up against the Bucs, then hopefully the Joneses will see the light and get help. I think you mean like the entire team. I thought you were talking about Kelvin. And then the safeties. Jaron Kearse, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, Israel Mukuamu, Marquise Bell. I don't know the last time I was this happy 1 through 5 for different reasons with the safety room. And y'all know me. So get ready for and get my safe word ready. But I've been prepping myself to not get overly excited. And here's why. J-Ron's J-Ron. I thought he was a Pro Bowler last year, got snubbed, whatever. Malik Hooker promised that he can return back to being a healthy guy. And if Malik is healthy, I think Malik Hooker is going to be one of our best free safeties we've had in quite some time, maybe since Barry. And Barry kind of did a little bit of both. Dono, I looked at as a guy that could beat J-Ron prior to him getting injured last year, but he's a hurt guy. A hurt guy like that should be your safety 3. I love Donovan Wilson as a safety 3. Marquise Bell, we all said, hey, man, he's the number 1 undrafted free agent for this team. I think he's going to make this team, but he went out there and proved that he can make the team. He did some good things. You're excited about the future prospects of Marquise Bell. And then Izzy, I think, takes this excitement level up a notch. Izzy plays so damn good this offseason that they were forced to carry 5. I guarantee you if Israel Mukuamu had a bad camp, he's not on this team. He's not. You're not carrying 5 safeties. You don't see teams carry 5 all the time, right? You might see it every here and there. But 5 safeties and 6 linebackers? They could have went 5 linebackers and 4 safeties. They could have went 6 linebackers and 4 safeties because of Jaron Kearse's ability to come down, because of Marquise Bell's ability to come down. But Izzy has shown an ability to come down. So I went into this offseason saying, man, the safety room is top heavy. Again, maybe more top heavy than I've seen in quite some time. Had my questions about what the depth would look like. So going into preseason, into camp, I got to see what these guys, has Israel improved? I like the prospects of Marquise Bell, but obviously we got to see it. I don't want to jump too far over the bridge there. And we've seen it. And I think the future looks bright with Israel and Marquise. And if I'm not mistaken, the beauty about it, J-Ron and Malik are on 2-year deals. Izzy and Marquise, Izzy has 3 years left. Marquise Bell has 3 years in general. So you could potentially get a shot to see these guys be the future at some point. So I'm pretty happy about this safety room. The defense in general is a strong unit, headlined by Micah Parsons and Dan Quinn. I've said it many times. I think the floor is top 10 for this defense. I personally think with Dan Quinn at the helm, with Al Davis. Oof, almost said Al Harris as your cornerbacks coach, who I think has done some good things with these guys. And with Joe Witt Jr., who I hope is back. I know he was dealing with some things, but with Joe Witt around, got to give credit to Aiden Durde too. Is it Aiden Durde? But with this collection of coaches and this group, it just fits. I think this can be a top 5 defense easily, with the potential to be one of the best. And when I say one of the best, I mean elite defenses in the National Football League this year. I'm that high on it. I'm so high on it. I haven't really budged from my double-digit win season for regular season because of the defense. Even with Tyron Smith going down, even with the depth issues and wide receivers coming back off injury and whatnot, even with still having to see if your offensive coordinator is going to continue to develop, all that, the defense gives me that confidence that they'll hold this fort tight, and then we'll reevaluate once we get around that postseason situation. Danny said, I like Marquise Bell. I just hope he's not this year's, I think you mean Kennedy. Yeah, that's fair. I know a lot of people were high on Kennedy, which that was fair, though. Kennedy was having a fantastic preseason in camp. And then, to be fair to Maurice Kennedy, he didn't even really get much of a shot. He played like 3 games at first, and then he got hurt and got put on IR. So, and when he came back, he really wasn't a liability. But I get what you're saying. You don't want him to kind of show off in preseason and then do nothing. The difference is this is a rookie we're talking about. So even if he struggles, you have that to fall back on, right? Like, hey, man, he's a buck. I don't even expect him to have much of a role this year due to, the defense. If we go look at the defense, J-Ron, Malik, Dono are going to be heavily involved. It will take an injury for him to truly have a role, I think. Get the hell out of here, man. Don't do that to me, man. Don't do that to me, Danny. Mel says, I just don't see them being able to score. That is the biggest question mark on this entire team and why I'm not as optimistic on that side of the ball. It's way more of a wait and see approach for me over there than it is with the defense. I feel extremely confident here. I'm confident in my Q. I'm confident in certain aspects of the offense, but from a totality, let's see, right? Let's see how they adapt. We talked about adjusting yesterday. We showed plays and all that stuff. Let's see. I think that's a fair assessment. I don't think that's anything crazy, right? To have some type of, hey, man, I got my eye on you approach on the offense because of what's different. This offensive line carries over only 2 starters from last year. I know Terrence Steele was the starter at right tackle for 6 games or 7 games. But, I mean, guys that were there the entire season, and Zach Martin and Tyler Biadasz. You got the rookie that was guard, tackle. Connor McGovern's playing a position he wasn't quite good at last year. We still don't really know how much Biadasz has developed. And then from a receiver standpoint, it's pretty much a committee approach opposite of Lamb. And then Gallup comes back, and I think we got to be realistic about that. That could take a little bit. So there is clear question marks over there. That's clear. We just have to wait to see the answers is all. All right, let's get back to the lines. We had 240 on hold. What's good, 240?
Hey, how you feeling, Will Steele?
I'm
Calling
good,
from the East Coast, Baltimore. I just had a couple comments on just some of the takes. I know a lot of people were upset that we went with Davis over Dowdle. We went with Dowdle over Davis.
There you go.
And it's literally what you're talking about, how we're not as solid on the offensive side. We know just the line and just things haven't worked out in the way we've planned. But I think the offense, what we're going to be going with is sort of big play, quick strike things, a lot of bubble screens, things like that, just with the speed that we have. With the money that we're paying Zeke, I understand Davis kind of like, he reminds you of a Zeke. But when have our running backs had their best seasons? When our O-line has been top 5 Hall of Fame O-line. And so why would we go ahead and we're already paying Zeke an outrageous amount of money, more than he's really worth right now. Why would we go ahead and pick up somebody else to just have him. Is Davis going to play if Zeke is healthy?
No.
I don't see a situation where Davis even a blocking play here and there, where Davis even takes the field if Zeke is healthy all season.
He will not.
So they're not even – I do like Davis, but like I said, it's just with Dowdle and Pollard, they're going to be switching out throughout at that position that they're playing. Zeke is going to be the power back. They're going to be kind of rotating out. And then if Zeke does get hurt, Pollard's our number one. It's not that we're going to go get him. Pollard is the number one then if Zeke gets hurt. So,
sure.
I do like Davis, but I just don't see.
Yeah, if Zeke, I think the whole thought process with Davis is if Zeke gets hurt and / the future, right? Because if Zeke gets hurt, okay, now you got a guy who can carry the load a little bit with Tony Pollard, who can give you that thunder to Tony Pollard's lightning. And then you think about next year where there's a real possibility, right? This has to be a possibility that Zeke and TP may not be on this team. So you get kind of a look at a guy who's been here already for a year that can do some of the things that you like from Ezekiel Elliott. So I think it's multiple things that go into it. Not necessarily.
It is.
Hey, we're going to keep Davis with Tony Pollard and Zeke because we can use all four with Rico, or three.
No,
I got a feeling as much as I want to do a committee approach where, hey man, we're going to be a running team. Let's lean into it. To give me 3-4 backs and use all 3 or 4 throughout the season. I don't think that's the case. We've got enough evidence to realize that Zeke, I hate to use his money, and I don't care about the money from now that we're focusing on the team.
Yeah.
Well, hear me out. I don't care about the money now that we're focusing on week to week. The offseason's over. He's not going anywhere. But what I mean is that front office does. Jerry Jones, he going to come out and say he need to get the ball. In fact, Jerry Jones went on ESPN and said, we go as Zeke goes. So what make you think Zeke is not going to see less than 15, 16, 17 touches a game? Unless we revert to being a pass-happy offense. So I digress on that.
Exactly. No, I definitely with you right there. I actually say Davis actually reminds me a little bit of Tashard, the People's Choice, man.
I love TC, man. I love TC.
I also I do love the defense, exactly like you said with McQuamu. I've been really excited just for him to make the team and just be able to contribute. So I'm really excited for just the whole defense as a total this year. I think they are going to have to be kind of what helps him more with the ball control. I know the offense usually sets the pace that we want to hold the ball longer, but it's really going to be on our defense this year. And also, one thing with Tyler Smith is, unfortunately, I know the situation at tackle is unfortunate, but I really want to keep him at guard. I think a lot of people are underestimating how much a solid first year in the NFL can do for a rookie. And while we know it's not the end-all be-all, because clearly Diggs had an okay year and then my man's elevated. But just having a solid first year, it's like we're about to throw him into a position. He did play a little bit while he was in school, but we saw there was issues there, and now we're going to put him back in that against not just anybody, the top tier of competition. It's like it's frustrating, and it may help the team more, but I do think it may damage the potential Tyler Smith has going forward. So while it may be a necessity, I really do want us to focus, let him play what he plays, do what he does in his first year. Once he gets that under his belt, has some more experience, okay, cool. Maybe we can move him around. But, of course, linemen have to kind of get used to moving around. But I really wish we could just give him his whole first year to focus in where he's most comfortable and progress himself against the best talent, not put him somewhere where there's going to be penalties. We know that's going to happen anyway, and now we're just exasperating it by just moving him to where he's a bit more uncomfortable. But once again, thank you, Will Steele. Great conversation as always. Love the show. I'll be around. Don from Baltimore, bro.
Don from Baltimore. Appreciate you, man. Welcome to the show, and keep sticking around and supporting. Thank you. Yeah, T. Smith, Tyler Smith. We got to figure out a way to do this. Tyler Smith, that was my prevailing thought too, was guard, focus him there, let's roll. Go get you a swing tackle and let's roll. Never happened, so obviously we have to pivot. once you saw the situation developing behind, Tyron, if the whole thought was, as Steven said, put him at tackle, then he should have been getting some of those reps. But hey, we got 2 weeks. It is what it is at this point, right? As our guy says, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Brian Peters says, are we bringing Collins back? Sounded interesting. Gelkin said that Collins is going to explore his options, but obviously he's walking back to Dallas. So maybe Collins decides to say, I'm going to go try to catch on somewhere else. But I'd imagine they would want to look at him for the practice squad. All right, I'm going to go ahead and lock these phones up. We got about 5 left. Got to save more, man. I'm going to get to you. Los. What's good, Los?
Good morning, Sky. I'll make my phone call quick. I'm just happy this 53-man roster is done and this preseason is over. I think we can all agree. Everyone already said their opinion about Davis and Donald, but, Donald is, we already said what he can be. And wasn't he the guy from HBO, like last season, the goggles guy?
Wasn't he the what? No. That was Hardy.
Okay, Hardy. Okay, never mind. My bad. I got that one confused.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I wish Davis would have made this team, but oh well. But my opinion, this roster as a whole, I think we have to be able to control the pace of game, because I think we're going to have to repeat what Cowboys did years ago, which is scoring immediately the first quarters of the first time we have the ball, and Jerry said it, we go as he goes. And if this defense turns out to be what we think it could be, which is giving this offense a good field position, we have to take advantage of those situations and be disciplined. Thank you, Scott, for taking my call. Have a blessed morning, and let me know your thoughts about that opinion. Peace.
Appreciate you, Los. Yeah, I'm with you on that. The defense is going to lead the charge, or should lead the charge, which is so funny because throughout the years, it's always been the offense has been kind of top heavy and deepest position on the unit on the team, but now it's the defense. And honestly, I couldn't be more happier. I wish we had a little bit more but if you can have one of them ones, that's what we talked about, right? If you're going to lean on the run game, you got to have one of them ones on defense to do something special and in the postseason. And I think Dallas, at the very least, can have one of the top defenses in the league this year. All-time great, that's a different story. We got to see that, but I think it could be one of the best defenses this year. And if that's the case, you got a chance when you get into the postseason. But that's so far down the line right now, because I watched the number 1 defense in the league last year, one of the best that there is, get 50 points put on their head. So you still need the offense at some point. Mike McCarthy came out and said, hey, yeah, defenses win champion. We said something like defense gets you to the championship off the quarterback wins the Super Bowl. That's what he said. Y'all can take that how you want, but there's some merit to it. All right, who else we got here? I think did I do 240? Wasn't that my Baltimore cat? Hey, 240, didn't I get you up? All right, bro, I saw you up here. My apologies. Let's get to 903. What's good?
Hey, Sky, it's Theo. Give me just a second, sir.
What's up, Theo?
So I know we're talking about roster cuts and stuff today, but I'm kind of forward thinking. I'm always thinking about what to do next, and I would just like to throw out the idea there of picking up Wyatt Davis, the Edoga guy from the Jets, and Leatherwood, and putting them on our practice squad and letting them get caught up to speed to see if they're any better than the guys we have at backup now. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that and go from there. I'll drop off. Have a good one, sir. See you at 3:06.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Theo. Sound like Theo was at work, right? He didn't want to get caught. And see, Theo's smart. He whispered. He got it out there. I heard him. Good question. In and out. Appreciate you, Theo. Make sure you turn me down a little bit. Leatherwood, Wyatt Davis, or Edoga? I reached out to, let me pull it up here. I reached out to Big Duke. Shout out to Big Duke. Good dude. He ain't with the nonsense on Twitter. I asked him, I said, man, what's the rundown on Leatherwood, big homie? He said, talented, give him one position and a consistent voice, and he will be good. So, if of all three of these dudes, Udoka, Davis, Leatherwood, yeah, I would definitely take a flyer on. Think about this. If he doesn't get claimed, now you're getting a guy for the cheap that comes from Alabama, first-round talent just last year, who the offensive line guru that has worked with Leatherwood said, hey, man, there's definitely talent there. But he even retweeted something he talked about last year as Leatherwood was going through the process that was similar. Hey, man, he needs to be in the right situation, et cetera, et cetera. Here's a question, though. Do we believe Joe Philbin is the right situation? But nonetheless, yeah, take a flyer. Hell yeah. Now, I had asked Vach this. Is Leatherwood a guy you can move to guard? I was just curious, right? And he was like, I mean, yeah, you could, but there's not really, I don't think there's going to be much of a difference in his ability from tackle to guard. So I would keep him more at tackle, which is the higher valued position. So I'm like, all right, cool, fair answer, because I wasn't sure about Leatherwood. Now, he struggled a whole lot last year, gave up like 8 sacks and just wasn't that good. But maybe, more coaching gets better. It is what it is. Maybe he's a right side guy. I don't know. But I take a flyer. I mean, a flyer, not claim. A claim means I think you're getting his top 10 money and all that stuff, and now you're paying a potential backup or a guy you don't really want, whatever his rest of his contract is. But if we're just talking about flyers, sure. Now, am I going to go out my way to make it happen? Nah, I'd go out my way to get Eric Fisher in there. Now, I go out my way to get a guy that can go start at tackle and move my first round pick back in the guard. But I don't think I'd go out my way to get Leatherwood and start him at left tackle a week out of the season. That makes sense. Leatherwood on one leg is better than Josh. Y'all boys is wild. Oh, man. The lunatic, the boss yelling in the office, where's Theo with that quarterly report? Yo, that's hilarious. Theo definitely went into the paper closet. And listen, this ain't new. If my boy is watching, hey, Shawnee, if you watching, me and Sean used to do this all the time. I used to work for a judge, and we'd go into the chambers. And I'd be listening to, not First Take, but what am I talking about here? The break. I'll be listening to the break, or I'll be listening to Talking Cowboys, whatever. I go in there. Yeah, man, I'm trying to get on the horn, dog. I'll be out there. I'll help you with this paperwork soon. Right in the corner somewhere. Go in the closet, I remember those days, man. I do. That's hilarious, though. The lunatic said, man, he was outright cut. Does not have anything due. The dead cap falls to L. Oh, really? So but he's a rookie contract. Doesn't he have to go through? This stuff is so crazy. But y'all can help me out. Doesn't Leatherwood have to go through waivers? And if you pick him up, you said it was outright cut, not waived. I'll let y'all deal with that. This gives me a headache, man. Gives me a headache. All right, man, let's get back to the lines. We got 716 and we got MJ, a.k.a. Marv, Magic City Marv. What's good, 716?
Hey, Will, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to talk to you. I'm also on the Alex Leatherwood drum here. And So this is how it works. So how it works is the Raiders waived him or released him, call it whatever you want. Mm-hmm. They take the hit. So now if somebody picks him up, and I'm hoping it's Dallas, because to use Jerry Jones's word when they got to Oxnard, availability. And that's why, and we all get it as Cowboy fans, they traded Cooper, and why they couldn't get the contract worked out for Randy Gregory. So now if you want Leatherwood, if he works his way through claim, which is, of course, the draft order before Dallas, 23 teams, you would only have to pay him $1.3 million this year, $1.4 million or $1.5 million next year. And look, we all know that Tyron Smith is a future Hall of Famer, but the guy hasn't been available to us for 4 years either. And to say now, Mike, I got two questions. I'm going to hang up in about a minute here, but
Oh.
so take the flyer on Leatherwood, and if it works out on the left side, guard tackle, and Tyler Smith works out at guard or tackle, you got two young guys for the next 10 years. And as far as Tyron goes, my final question would be, what's the difference between his injury and the jet tackle injury who went down earlier in camp, that he's out for the year, but Tyron's not out for the year? Will, great listening to you. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call, man, and a great one, or good call. The difference, I think, would be Tyron is kind of like just a robot. I call him Tron. I even said that to him at practice. Say, yeah, I call you Tron, man, because you don't make sense. Like, you're like not Megatron, but you're kind of a transformer. Problem is, some of those parts are starting to give way. So maybe the difference is Tyron's just built differently. Whereas I think he said, I forget the cat's name over at the Jets, Mekhi Becton. He's a massive human being. Maybe he was too big at one point, right? He kind of had to shed some weight. And he's been, I know it sounds crazy because Tyron's injury prone, but he was kind of susceptible to injuries as well and has been injured ever since he's been in the league. So maybe that's the difference. But when Tyron got hurt, Becton's name popped up because it was the similar injury. But didn't Becton get like carded or something? I don't know what happened when it went down, but Tyron got up and walked away. Pat Walker said, hey, he saw Tyron Smith walk into his car after practice and he wasn't limping. So it just, something is just different within Tyron Smith, I think, than Mekhi Becton. So I'm not a doctor. I don't know the severity of either or. I just think maybe one guy's built a little bit different than the other. But boy, I had looked at Leatherwood's pass blocking statistics from last year. I didn't go study no film. I already knew based off of talking to people that he wasn't great last year. That's an understatement. I mean, I'm sure there is potential there untapped, but my goodness, last year was a rough one. So he played over 1,000 snaps last year, over 700 pass blocking snaps. Gave up 8 sacks. I've heard 8 sacks before. All right. Not a lot, not ideal, but okay. They got this man down for 65 pressures. That's a lot of pressures, dog. That's a lot of pressures. Every game except the last game in week 15, he was credited. Those are the only 2 games he wasn't credited with less than one or less pressures. Everything else was multiple pressures a game. And then 14 penalties. 17, really. 3 weren't called. That's a god-awful year. But there was a point brought up on Vach's show yesterday where it was like, is there something else going on, though? Because at the end of the day, no matter how bad he was your first-round pick. You don't give up on those guys after year 1 for the most part. Is there some underlying issue going on? Work ethic, something behind the scenes, coaching? A guy that's a Raiders guy came in the chat and said, hey, he didn't jive with what McDaniels wanted from an offensive line standpoint. I don't know. But they gave up on him after 1 year, and from a statistical standpoint, I ain't even put on no film. That's rough. That's rough. So, King, you said I watched the film. So, is it better? Oh, he says it's all mental. It's for those who watched. I'm definitely not going out my way to watch him. It's a topic of conversation right now. But for those who did go out their way to watch him from a film standpoint, is it better or worse than what the statistics show? Because that's bad, man. That's really bad. Mel said, or not Mel, somebody asked about Terrence. And I lost it here. Oh, you said Terrence was bad once too, but God, those numbers are crazy. I don't think Terrence was even this bad in 20. That's from a statistical standpoint, which is crazy. Let's take a look at it. We ain't doing nothing else. Shout out to my guy, Vach. Let's go to 2020. I'm just looking at the stats. Nah. He gave up more sacks, way less pressures, and way less. Nah, he was not as bad. So he gave up 9 sacks, 48 pressures, 6 penalties, 8 total, but only two were not accepted. Nah. Whatever that was from Leatherwood, I would love to know and I hate to talk about PFF grades, but from a statistical standpoint, I would love to know where that racks up from worst seasons from a tackle. Leave still out as facts. Right, like, yeah, let me not even talk about my cuz. Cuz was undrafted. This man was a top 10 pick. This is true also, Danny. Nothing to lose really there. Sure. All right, man. Magic City Marv, what you got for us as we close out?
What else? Yeah.
What's good?
Oh, man, I just listening to your show. The last call he's right on. If I was the Cowboys and you do bring Leatherwood, I would just put him at guard, man. And he'll be a better guard than a tackle because he's big. And he won't have that much pressure on running about them DNs. That used to help if y'all watched the Alabama game, because I'm an Alabama. I watched Alabama. That was my favorite team, college team. I watched him when he played for Alabama. And sometimes he did that. So you knew he was going to do that in the pros. He used to piss me off at Alabama when he did that. He would have been a better guard than a tackle. Now, with Smith, the guy is so powerful. If you do the Cowboys run that 12-man with the tight ends, and just think how much. Remember last year when Collins wasn't playing and they ran the Steele side, Steele and them averaged 8 yards a carry when they ran over there.
They didn't average 8 yards per carry. They averaged 5.2 yards per carry when they ran to off the right tackle in that gap, and then when they ran outside of that, it actually spiked higher. It went up to like 9 when it was a pitch to the wide right.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so you mean like when they pitch it outside?
Yeah. Now just think you do that to the other side, our other block. So I was telling my friends the other day, now the Cowboys smart. When at 12 personnel, so you don't put no pressure on my number, my first round pick. And they could be so dangerous getting to the outside on both sides. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying move Steele to left tackle run?
No.
So what you saying?
I'm saying when Tyler going to play left tackle, like they're going to do. You put that 12-man package in with the 2 tight ends. You run to his side the same way because when they do both times, they're going to get big and young. Because I'm going to tell you, in the middle,
let me just say this. Attack the edges for sure out of 12 in general. Yeah. But if I had to look at the offensive line, if I pull up the O-line from yesterday, I would still lean more towards the right side being my strength. Right? I understand Tyler Smith is your run blocking rookie, and you can put a tight end over to help him. But wouldn't you kind of more leans towards Zach Martin and Terrence Steele if you're running?
Yeah, but you're going to have power on both sides.
Sure, yeah. From a Tyler Smith standpoint, not necessarily from a McGovern standpoint.
Yeah,
I think Zach and Terrence give you more power than Tyler and Connor do.
Yeah, but now, if I'm the coaching staff, now I like to be honest. Now, everybody saw this. When they had 66 playing center, they was getting movement, and the nose tackle could not get knocking the center. Couldn't knock the center back. Now I just think my starting lineup would have been Steele, my boy, the president, McGovern, Smith, and then I'd have put Collins, because Collins played there last year with Minnesota. That would have been my starting lineup.
He ain't played there last year.
What they did, what a lot of people don't understand, why they cut Collins, because he's considered a veteran. So they could bring him back.
Sure.
Can't nobody pick him up. That's why they did that, just to sneak other players on the line, and then they'll bring the rest of their teams back. And I was listening to the Cowboy fan. He was like on Boss show. That's the Cry Me a River show there. Oh my God, I hate that show, man.
Oh, don't say. Oh, I was about to say, don't say that, man.
Not Boss. I'm talking about little Boss. Cause Boss keep it real. I'm talking about the people that come on there. He be trying to calm them down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they'll make you go into a crime. They'll even make me and you go into a crime because everybody crazy. I'm like, oh.
You know me, I can be critical, but too much is just like, all right, now what's the solution? But let me ask you this before we move on, Marv. You brought up McGovern at center. What's your thoughts on McGovern versus Forniak? Because I actually would like to see Forniak in your scenario be the center than McGovern.
But you know what? That's a battle there. See?
Yeah.
That's the fault of the offensive coach. And I keep telling Law, and I was telling everybody, say, if we lose, it's not because of Jerry Jones and Steven, his son, because they're not on the field playing. And I told you before, if me and you the coach, and Jerry came to me and said, hey, man, I want you to play Zeke. I say, Coach, owner, Jerry, do you want to win this championship?
Sure.
Yeah, I do. All right, so let me do it my way, sir, because number 20, that's thunder and lightning, baby. That's thunder and lightning.
Problem is, Marv,
number 20 is lightning.
Problem is, Marv, they put those people in position because they know they can go to them and tell them to shut up and do what I say.
Well, that's not happening because when everybody talking about the draft, you got to remember, when they pick that line up, it's like when me and you go in this how it goes. And my boy told me, one of my boys used to play pro football. My boy Blackshirt, he passed away. He used to play for the Baltimore Ravens. Big Blackshirt, number 69. Look that number up. That's my homeboy. So I always go to Baltimore games. He'll fly me in. I go to the games with him and stuff. He used to always tell me, I say, Jeff, I said, who be making the calls in the room? He said, well, Mar, the people, the owners don't make the call. You know, they'll come to the coaching staff and the scouts and ask them, what you think about this player? And the scouts, that's why they got 32 game teams. So that's why you got to be on your P's and Q's every game because they got paper they'll pick up. So it comes to the halfback coach, Rodney Pete. He decided he throws 23 over 34. Jerry Jones and Steven choose that. So you guys got to get out of there. No disrespect to the fans. Everybody got to get out of there dumb calling. Talking about Jerry Jones and Steven is telling, that's like you telling Dan Quinn, don't play Micah Parsons. Come on, man.
Mark, yeah.
Stop that.
Yeah, let me stop because if I let you go, you're going to bring it back to Micah Parsons, and we don't need to do that, man. But appreciate the call, Marv. Truly.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your day, Magic City.
You too. Hit the
mics. Boy, I thought Marv was going to land it. I was pretty confident. I thought Marv was about to land it. And then he said, well, let me tell you something about Jerry. The minute Marv say, let me tell you something. It ain't going to be something. Some things. Appreciate you, Marv. All right, man. The phones are done. They've been locked. Good show today. We're obviously in overtime. I promise you, I'm gonna keep my promise about this being. We'll do the long shows, but I gotta compartmentalize once we get to the season. So I'm figuring this thing out. Mind y'all, it's only been a year since I've been doing this. Some change full time Monday through Friday. So that might seem like a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not. So there might be a portion of the regular season where phone lines are open and locked for a certain time period, and we may only do 5 calls or something like that, 6 calls, what have you. Now, Mondays is different. Mondays, I usually let y'all get it out. It's a venting day or it's a celebration day, cookout and all that. But there are going to be days where we may not even do lines. Like when we do Okoye Wednesdays, there's really no lines. We might do something special, but it's going to be tightened up. So let's get this out now, because once the regular season comes, we're going to be a bit more fluid with it, man. So I peeped, y'all noticed the Vecna clock. Oh, there go my bro Rashawn in the building. Boy, yeah, man, I was confident you was about to land that plane, fam. Fell asleep at the wheel, said, oh, nope. We is not done. All right, man, questions for the chat, and we are gone. Let's see. I thought Stranger Things was on just now. So, yeah, appreciate y'all noticing that. Also, yes, as T-Max said, man, shout out to the 18,000 subscribers we have reached this week. I usually, and again, I'll tell you this all the time, I'm so on the go with stuff. Like, I'm working. I'm always working, trying to make sure the shows are great shows for y'all, that I don't realize some of these things. But yeah, 18K. We hit 18K this week. I truly believe we'll get 20 before Thanksgiving, and that'll be a massive milestone. For those who are new here, appreciate y'all. So just think about this. If we hit 20 by November, Sosa and I started this channel, which we eventually combined with A to Z, started this channel February of 2021? January 2021, something like that. Like, we really start pushing this channel at the end of 2020, because y'all know the situation that happened with Skywalker Steel channel, which I still have, but there's still issues over there. So we opened it up at the end of 2020, but we didn't really start putting content out until the beginning of 2021. Here we are in 2022, and you guys have helped grow this thing to almost 20,000 subscribers, man. Salute to y'all. Thank you. Y'all the best. If y'all want to continue to do so, hit the like button to support the channel. Hit the like button, subscribe. We give y'all is I think personally some of the best quality content there is out there, and that's humbly me saying that. But that's because that's my goal. That's what I work to do. I'm not saying that just to say that. I bust my ass to make sure we put this good quality content in, man. So salute to y'all. Flip the hourglass back over. Yes, sir, Special K. Yes, sir. Toxic said, Marv probably tell Vecna, I ain't afraid of your old ass clock. Facts. Marv would start telling them how Story Jackson, the undrafted free agent, would come in here and whoop Vecna's ass. Vecna would get so tired of him talking, he'd just walk off. Justin says, one question, Sky, do you think we're going to the NFC Championship game? Justin J. Do I think that? I'm not confident in saying that right now. Not at all. Not August 31st. But when we did our fan, it wasn't ours. It was John Machota. Shout out to John. He did a fan survey. So we asked those questions on his channel. And I said that the ceiling, I think, is NFC Championship game. I think the floor is the wild card round. I'm just never one of those guys, Justin. And for those that have been around know me, I'm never one of those guys that is screaming XYZ in August. I've been around this league too long. I've been covering the team intently enough to know that so many things have to go in factor to win a Super Bowl. Realistically, you just don't know, especially the Cowboys type, until you get to see a few games. Right? You got to see something first. So I'm not one of those dudes, and I'll be honest with you. So one question, do you think Cowboys going to the NFC Championship game? Right now, I'd have to say no. But that could change come October, November, December, like it did last year, where I felt very good about them at the very least reaching until December got around. And yeah. Sky, Chrissy gonna watch a show. Chrissy, wake up. Man, my son ran that to the ground. I guess they did a TikTok with it. And I just kept hearing him say that in the house. Chrissy, wake up. So we started doing it. Deuce, wake up. It was a thing in the house for a minute. I had fun with it. Do you think we will start Deron Bland week 1 if J. Lou sits? Yes. If J. Lou sits, absolutely. I think the Cowboys will start Deron Bland 100%. Where'd you go, TC915? I thought I saw it. Man, I feel like this. There you go. I think you had less than 1,000 subs when I subbed up, bro. Congrats. Sky, you deserve everything. 100%, I think it was less than 1,000. I think you're right. Professor O. Sky created his YouTube channel 43 years ago when he was a teenager. Am I going to any game? Sky, are you going to have any game day remotes? Does that mean Game day remotes, like game day lives remotely. My guess, T-Hawk, is what you're saying. Jesse Holly and I will be doing game day lives at Texas Live. In fact, probably next week, I'll start pushing that that promotion, that promo, or what have you. We'll get a new video and all that stuff together. So if that's what you mean, we'll be at Texas Live. Will this defense from Toxic be able to stop the run? Oh, yeah, you did mention your only concern is the ability to stop the run from a defensive standpoint. So Dallas didn't do anything noteworthy to address that, right? Like, no, they didn't go out and get a monster defensive tackle. They didn't draft Jordan Davis, right? So what we have to count on is two things. The improvement of Neville and Quentin Bohanna, which I have seen one tech improvement. Neville Gallimore is bigger, 100% bigger. He's more closer to 320 than 300. And he's stronger. We just got to see it from a consistent basis in regards to stopping the run. He's made good plays against the run, no, I'll tell you that. And then Big Bo is he's just sharper. He's quicker. He's using his length more. He's smarter. He's just an improved player. So I think that's what Dallas is banking on. I think it's fair to say that is the biggest question mark, though, on defense is can they stop the run? Unfortunately, all we got is preseason. They've done it well in preseason. We know that don't mean nothing, but they have done it well in preseason, Toxic. So because they didn't go out and get a bunch of run stoppers, we're kind of relying on the improvement of year 2 in Dan Quinn's system, meaning you fill your gaps quicker because you're sharper and you know where you're going. You take care of your assignments faster. And then the individual improvement of your one techs like Bo and Neville. I do think there will be an uptick in the run defense. I do. It's just a matter of how much, right? It's just a matter of how much. Big Bo will be our Grady Jackson. I've seen the Rams cut offensive lineman that has some good potential. Do you know anything about him, Sky? I can't even pronounce his name, so I know nothing about him, Mark. I can look him up, though, when I get off the show here. James Ruff. J. Lou might not have a job when he comes back. Deron Bland is really making me. There's a meme where the kid's in the classroom. He's trying not to blurt something out. He's really making me have to kind of hold back. I just really love what I saw from Deron Bland in preseason. I understand you got to see it in the regular season, but I don't think that's a lie. This is Dan Quinn. This ain't Mike Nolan. This ain't Rod Marinelli. This ain't Chris Richard. Donovan Wilson got hurt week 1. J-Ron Curse came in there. Said, give me. You ain't getting that back. So if Deron Bland come in there and ball, J. Lou ain't getting that back. I really, truly do believe that. J. Lou ain't getting that back. Mel Scott, Malik Turner waived by the Niners. Any chance we get him back? I'll reach out. I don't know the chances, but damn it, I'm calling. Appreciate you, Professor O. He said he got to run to a meeting. I'm definitely calling. I'm calling Malik Turner and seeing if he's interested, but y'all know who I said I'd cut. I'd cut Noah. I don't know that the Cowboys would do so. There's just something about Noah Brown. They just want to keep around. Bars. KHY001. Deron Bland better than Jordan? Now that's where I'm going to stop. I think the potential looks very great. His potential looks higher. I still do like J. Lou. Healthy J. Lou sticking in the slot. He was good last year. So that's fair to say. Paul said, I'm trying to hold back as well, man. Bland is really, whew. I like Bland, man, a lot. And he was a guy, remember when we did the breakdown, I'm like, man, how was Bland going to cut into this depth chart? I'm going to tell you how he did. He beat everybody out. All right, y'all. We are running almost at 10:30. I know a lot of y'all got to get going. We're still over 500 deep. Before y'all leave, if you are in here, if you are listening, if you have the ability, hit the like button on your way out. My guy will be on later, Mauricio Rodriguez, A to Z Sports Prime Time. And then, of course, before you go, if you guys are, fantasy football fans, and I can't emphasize this enough, and you want to be a part of our fantasy draft on Friday, you have to go to A to Z, or you have to go to Underdog Fantasy, download the app, type in the promo code ATOZ, and make a deposit as low as like $5, and they'll match it, and you will be entered in our draft. At this point, it's the first 10 that we get, you're pretty much in. So we got a few spots left. We got the Friday is the draft day, and I'll let you guys know. It is Friday, 7 p.m. Central, unless something changes and we got to move it. It'll be 7 p.m. Central live here on this channel. We'll be doing the draft. It's easy, too. Even if you don't want to be a part of this draft, you can be a part of any draft by literally taking part of the draft, setting your lineup, and forgetting it for the rest of the year. Or you can enter it into the Best Ball Mania Challenge, where they pay out to $10 million over there on Underdog Fantasy. And we got some more Underdog Fantasy things for you guys on game days. I can't wait for that. But hit up underdogfantasy.com or visit the app, right? And download the app. Use the promo code ATOZ. The best and easiest way to play fantasy sports. Easy peasy. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and press this button. We out here, y'all. Danny, we will know, I'm hoping Thursday. Tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow. We should have it filled up. Make sure y'all hit up AtoZSportsDallas.com. Keep y'all updated on all things Dallas Cowboys. I will see y'all tomorrow at 8:30. We out. Love you. Peace.
Bye!